What's poppin', people? It's Dante. Today I'm going to be giving you some practical advice for increasing your confidence in street photography. So essentially, I believe that photography has nothing to do with photography, but photography has everything to do with how you engage with humanity out there in the open world on the front lines of life. And here we have a photograph that I made on the front lines of conflict between Israel and Palestine at the border of Jericho. And so we're not going to be necessarily talking about being confident and courageous to go out there and photograph conflict, but I do want to emphasize that confidence is what carries you out there in the world and ultimately what delivers you the photographs and the results that you make. Because I find that ultimately when it comes down to it, the result of a photograph is a reflection of your courage, of your heart. Core meaning heart. And so ultimately, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's shooting anyway. It's feeling the fear, but overcoming the fear through confidence and going out there and making pictures. But this happens through knowing your why. And so my first advice for you is to simply ask yourself, why do you practice street photography? Know your why. You know, when I'm out there and I'm photographing, I seek to uplift humanity to a new height. I seek to champion the people within my frames and uplift them as heroes. And here we have some boys in Baltimore, one of my earliest photographs that I made on the streets, and they are covering their faces and they are out front of a house fire on their bicycles. And so I find that by photographing and knowing my why and going out there seeking to uplift humanity, I come home with photographs that ultimately reflect this idea, championing the people within my frames. But not only that, when you're out there and you know your why and you have an understanding of why you're making a photograph of a particular thing or why you're doing it generally, it will give you the confidence to go out there and continue pressing the shutter. And so I believe that the first step to building confidence in street photography is to start with permission. And of course, we want to make candid photographs of strangers out there. But I believe in order to build up the confidence, one must start somewhere. And so if you're just getting into street photography, I can't emphasize this enough for you to break the ice and build your confidence right off the bat. So I encourage you to pick up an Instax camera and gift strangers prints. This way, when you're out there on the streets and you ask somebody for permission to make a photograph, you're not going to be fumbling and bumbling asking for their phone number or their Instagram, but you can share them the gift of photography right there in the moment with a print. And this is something tried and true that I've used all throughout the world, and this is why I'm sharing this advice with you, because this is something that has genuinely influenced my ability to go out there with confidence and courage to make these kind of photographs. And so by going out there and asking strangers for permission to make a portrait of them and gift them prints, you will watch your confidence grow with each yes that you receive. And even with each no that you will receive, you will learn through confrontation and practicing the act of asking for permission. And so I encourage you to give this tip a serious try if you're just getting started with street photography. This way, you can increase your charisma, the way in which you engage with the world through your openness, your body language. You know, these things will translate in the way in which you engage with the world, and photographs will return that charisma to you, where essentially, by increasing your confidence, by asking for permission and increasing your charisma, you will be invited into people's worlds. For instance, here I'm inside of somebody's home in East Jerusalem, and I wound up making photographs inside of their home after enjoying some lunch, some tea, some coffee. What happens is when you're open and you're confident, you will be delivered photographs. You will be invited into people's homes and have these enriching experiences. And so even here in my hometown in Philadelphia, when I engage on the streets, there are some circumstances where I do ask for permission or have a conversation with strangers and make photographs during the conversation, because I find that there are so many beautiful experiences, conversations, and different moments that you otherwise wouldn't have without the camera, where the camera gives you the excuse to engage with people, to get close to people, and through increasing your confidence through the act of making photographs, you will find yourself having these interactions and these experiences that, again, you otherwise wouldn't have. And so I encourage you to create these personal challenges for yourself. When you're out there on the streets and you're just getting started, photograph 5 strangers today. Go out there with the mission of making 5 photographs of strangers. Go out there and gift 5 people Instax prints. Be present, right? Be playful. These qualities, I believe, are very critical. If you're having a conversation with somebody, look at them in the eyes. Use open body language. Don't take yourself so seriously. Use humor. I encourage you to compliment strangers with something specific about them. If you notice something about a subject that you want to photograph, compliment them. Let your guard down. Make eye contact. Smile more. Have this open body language where ultimately what I find is when you go out there and you practice street photography daily, it's like daily courage training through building up the courage and confidence to go out there and photograph people. And so what does it mean to get close? So when you hear the word close, you think of the physical proximity between you and the subject that you're photographing. But I believe to go beyond the physical proximity to an emotional closeness means more to me. Where, for instance, here in my hometown, I still use this technique of engaging with people with this sort of documentary approach of genuinely being interested in humanity and interacting with people at the scene or asking questions and having conversations with people. For instance, here in the mall in Philadelphia, I was walking by and I noticed this man practicing some sort of Aikido or some sort of training with his client there on the right-hand side as he works as a nurse. And I was asking him questions about his day and what he was doing, and he was discussing these like natural healing methods, and it was just a very beautiful interaction that I had. And then the photograph reflected that emotional closeness I had to the subject as I was genuinely interested in this person and in this moment. And what that does is allows you to not only get permission to make a photograph and be there and make a picture, but you become emotionally and physically close. It'll allow you to actually get that physical close proximity that you're looking to capture as well in a photograph. And so by being open and being honest and being interested in life and humanity just generally, and interested in people, and just sharing your presence and the joy of photography with others, you will be gifted with these moments. You will be gifted with these photographs. And so I find that ultimately it's important to take confrontation positively, right? Let's say somebody, gives you a hard time for making a candid photograph of them, right? Not every interaction will be easy, but you just got to face it anyway, because ultimately you will build charisma through these reps of going out there and having these interactions, whether they're positive or negative. And I look at everything as an upside. So if you do have a negative confrontation, treat it as a positive confrontation where you're simply growing thicker skin, you're growing your confidence, you're growing your charisma and your ability to go out there and to continuously practice your photography. And so I'm going to share with you a behind the scenes video of me getting confronted on the streets in the early morning around 6 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. or something, where I'm walking along the river trail and I'm alone, but this man confronts me pretty aggressively. And just watch how I diffuse the scene so you can understand how I interact on the street with the real world example. And I actually believe that, I can actually even practice a panning shot. That's kind of cool. Maybe they're just experimental, but I actually quickly adjusted my snap focus to 3.5 meters. And so actually on my recent trip to Coney Island, on the boardwalk, there's just chaos, which is great, don't get me wrong. But I prefer to photograph on the beach itself. And I'm gonna get into a confrontation right now. This is perfect. What's up, bro? I'm doing a little video in the morning about photography. What's up, bro?
You just put me on the camera, bro?
It's like this experimental photo. It's kind of like a motion.
So close, bro.
It's like a.
And I don't even know you, but
no, I'm just saying.
2 feet. 2 feet.
I was just showing you the photograph. You can't actually see yourself.
No, bro. Can we delete that, John?
Yeah, no problem.
You man? Like right now?
Yeah, it's.
Or it's gonna go against the copyrights?
No, it's not gonna go against the copyrights.
It might.
It's all deleted right there. Delete one image. Boom.
And that's not a camera even?
No, I'm just recording my audio.
Oh, it's just audio?
Yeah, I'm just talking. Okay. I'm just doing a video about photography, bro. You too, man. Cheers. And so, essentially, when I was in Coney Island, there was this. And so I just move on like nothing happened, right? You kind of diffuse the situation with water, not fire. If somebody's coming at you aggressively, you don't want to be aggressive back to them. For me, I like to just simply diffuse the situation. If somebody seriously wants their photo deleted, What's the big deal? Just delete the photo, move on, just make the interaction and make the confrontation diffuse as quickly as possible. What is the worst that can happen? I mean, think about it. I was on a river trail, nobody in sight. The guy pulls up with the camera on me to defend himself in case I am aggressive. It's a very awkward place where there's nowhere to go. I can't move left, I can't move right, but I simply stood upright, stood my ground, was confident, didn't take it so seriously. I was simply laughing it off, deleting the photo, and moving on, because through your charisma, through your body language, through the way you interact with people, you'll be able to share with the person that you mean no harm. And so I essentially just treat the world as a playground, right? Where I don't take myself so seriously. This is the ethos and the philosophy behind my approach to photography, by going out there with this sense of playfulness. I find that the less serious that you are, the more open you are, the more people will invite you into their world. And so I encourage you to go out there and just explore the open world like a video game, and you're just this big kid playing on the playground. And this, to me, is the most beautiful way to engage with the streets, because this is what cultivates curiosity, confidence, and courage. I'll never forget, look at these children in Mexico City climbing the cross on top of the mountain here. I'll never forget being a kid climbing tall trees and jumping from the vines and, just exploring the world and, just not really being afraid, right? And so I think we have to go back to that childlike state, treating the world as a playground and fueling ourselves with confidence and courage, where I find everything is photographable. And this, to me, builds confidence and courage in my photography, because when I'm out there, I'm not necessarily looking or hunting or waiting for anything. I'm simply finding wonder in the mundane. I'm finding that I'm becoming more confident, because when I see beauty everywhere and I'm making more photographs, I'm just increasing my reps. I'm increasing my confidence with each step, with each click of the shutter. And so by recognizing and adopting the mindset that everything is photographable, I too believe this will increase your confidence as a street photographer. And so I encourage you to share the joy of photography. There's a local photographer here who made 2 Instax photographs of me, and I thought it was a really sweet interaction. You could tell the man had really good charisma and confidence, right? This guy is very, very nice and open and warm. Shout out to Peaches. Yeah, and he was photographing me at the Dilworth Plaza here in Philadelphia. And it just reminded me of my journey and how I've had all of these enriching experiences through the use of an Instax camera. And I just wanted to share with you, once again, a real world example of how I use these techniques and approaches in my everyday street photography journey. And so you'll see me here on the street using an Instax camera, gifting prints to strangers, and using my confidence as a way for me to engage with the world. So I just wanted to share this behind the scenes video as a way for you to understand more deeply about how you can apply these techniques. We've got a boxer. Yo, you got the moves, bro.
Checking out our clothing, bro?
I think that's cool. Do you want me to take a photo of your clothes? If maybe you want a picture, I can take a shot of your boy. Yo, he was doing some cool moves. You want a picture? It'll pop right out. Yo, do another move with your fists. Yeah. But do the action. Actually punch and do what you were just doing. Yeah. And look up at me. All right, I got you. This will pop out. Let's see what happens. It's an Instax picture.
Wow.
It might be a.
That's a nice Instax.
Yeah, it might be a good one. Try that out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's just
Yo, like, is that the one you gotta like do this with?
Yeah, but you don't have to actually do that. You can just leave it in your pocket too. I mean, it's just the
okay, so it's like a
Instax
dual
picture. Yeah, I mean, you might as well keep it out in the sun, I guess. Yeah, you keep it out and just look at it. But it comes on this side. Yeah, right here.
What do you do for a living?
I do photography, multimedia, art.
I see a GoPro.
I've got a GoPro Mini. This is an awesome little GoPro. Yeah, I think I framed this poorly. Yeah. It's interesting though.
He's doing his thing.
I've got the hand and the bottom cut off, but you know what? It's imperfect. Here, do it again. Do it again.
You said what?
Hold up.
How y'all doing?
You know what? I'm a noob. And it's jammed. It's jammed. It's jammed.
Just put my like this.
Dude, it's okay. Look, it worked. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, this thing, you know what?
Oh, I do remember you. You had the mask on.
Okay, I fixed it. This silly piece of plastic. Here. You were looking down, but it's fine. It's fine, it's fine. It's fine. I've got a whole thing of them. This would be cool for your Instagram or your page when you promote your clothing. Does he have the logo? Let's see if he's got the logo. Actually do it. Yeah, do it again, for real. And look up. And have a mean mug and look up. Ah. I don't know. I'm having fun. This is cool. I didn't see you guys before. Is this your first time here?
No, we just fluctuate around here and through where we're from. So
Yeah. Are you guys from Philly?
yeah, north side, northeast side.
Bet.
So around there.
Yeah.
Or northeast.
I grew up in Manayunk.
Manio.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm Dante.
I'm Mariano.
Mariano,
Nice to meet you.
pleasure to meet you, bro. You Italian?
No.
What's the
I'm Puerto Rican.
Puerto
but
Rican?
People get
Mariano, I don't know what that. Yeah,
It
right.
sounds like.
Why does that sound Italian? I've never met a Mariano that's Italian.
I've never met a Mariano myself. I've heard people.
It just sounded it. Yeah, no, that's dope though.
So my dad, his name is Mario, and my brother's Mario Jr. So
Yeah.
I got the Mariano.
Okay.
It's like he mixed it a little. So,
Let's see what these look like.
wow,
This one's kind of nice. The one where he's looking up right here.
that's cool.
Yeah, those are two cool shots.
Yeah.
Like they go together like that. And then this one's kind of like a throwaway, but you can hold that.
Look how they came to life.
That one's kind of it'll come together with time, I think. Like this one's almost done.
Yeah, that is fire.
Yeah, that's actually cool because he's got the logo. You know, that's kind of, you know,
It is cool.
that's actually pretty dope. Why not?
The Break the Loop logo.
Why not?
Break the Loop.
Okay, so these are your hats and this is your merch and
Yeah.
VOC. All right, support. We got vocphilly.org. Okay, bet.
It means victim of circumstance.
Interesting. What inspired that name?
Oh, it's to motivate others to better themselves from what they've been through instead of victimizing themselves.
Word.
Yeah, because
That's-
everybody has a circumstance that they've been through. Instead of victimizing yourself, you become a better person from it. Everybody has a bag that they hold, so you let go of that bag and you run. You know.
VOC.
Yes. Victim of circumstance.
Victim of circumstance.
Brace yourself.
So, once again, when you're genuinely interested in humanity, when you genuinely have this lust for life, and for me, I know my why for why I practice street photography. It's because I love humanity. You know, I use photography as a way for me to fuel my lust for life and to champion humanity. And when I meet people on the street and I have these interactions, it's very seamless. It's not necessarily something that I have to, you know, force myself to do, but I'm just naturally gravitated towards people and their stories, and I'm interested in learning about others and interacting with others. And so this is, again, a very practical piece of advice. Use an Instax camera. Break the ice. You know, for instance, here we have another real example from the brothers in Jericho. When I traveled throughout all of Israel and Palestine, I photographed using my Instax camera as a way for me to break through the cultural barriers and the language barriers, as ultimately photography is a universal language. And through sharing the gift of photography through Instax prints, it's brought me on these incredible experiences where I was praying in a mosque and this group of brothers noticed me, invited me to their home. We had some lunch, we had some tea, we had some coffee, and then they invited me for a journey along the mountain range in Wadi Kelt, looking out towards the Dead Sea and Jordan in the background. And I found myself having an incredible experience because of my openness and because of the way in which I used an Instax camera, where we were dancing and singing and chanting together. And I wound up making some photographs along the way. And so on the left-hand side, you can see me there engaged with the brothers at the scene. And then on the right-hand side, dancing and chanting and singing on top of the mountain range. And so, once again, photography will bring you these incredible experiences through sharing the gift and the joy of photography with others. And so, again, a real tried and true use case for the Instax camera that has brought me closer to people in order to create more impactful photographs, where here we have the result of the photograph at the end where, you know, the car broke down and I got out of the car and I made this layered dynamic photograph of the scene. And, you know, and it's in this very mundane sort of interesting place, you know, just on a mountain range. And, I otherwise wouldn't be on top of this mountain if I didn't engage with these people, if I didn't share the joy of photography with these people. And, because of photography and because of my lust for life, it's taken me on these journeys. It's given me these experiences and these memories that I will never forget and always have. And it's all due to photography, but using photography as a way for me to fuel myself with confidence and courage to go out there onto the front lines of life. And so I believe that you should share your work in person. A great way to boost your confidence is, join a photography group. Here you can see this video at Andrew's house here in Philadelphia. A local photographer gathers people together and we all share our photographs on the wall. And it's just a great place to get feedback, to have people look at your photographs. And ultimately, I believe that photos are meant to be shared in person. So yeah, having a community or a group of people that you can surround yourself with will also build your confidence, as people will appreciate your photographs in person rather than simply giving you likes on social media or praise through the comment sections, right? And so I think it's really important to have your work presented to people in person. One of the things that I like to do is make little sketchbooks, and I carry my sketchbook around with me. And so if somebody's interested in what I do or my photography, I'll simply share them, my photographs. People brought in at this current day stuff that inspires them, whether it was movies, books. We share photo books, whatever inspires us. If people make zines, they'll bring their zines, their prints, etc. And I think it's a great way to build confidence, right? You can see the guy here sharing his zine with others. It's just a good thing. I think ultimately, social media, I think it's worth avoiding. I mean, it's the nature of this modern world, but it's really not necessarily something important when it comes to building confidence. I think building confidence comes through real world interactions, not necessarily just likes on social media once again. And so I find that ultimately by setting limitations within the way I technically approach photography, I become more confident with my ability to create more impactful photographs. And so sticking to one camera, sticking to one lens, using this as a sort of limitation will force me to be decisive and eliminate decision fatigue, where you will essentially just start trusting your instincts and your intuition and your gut when you're out there on the streets. And so this is a very practical suggestion. Don't flip and flop between gear. Just use one camera, use one lens, use whatever you got and go out there and photograph. This will increase your confidence and you will become much more in tune with the gear you use, and ultimately the more in tune you become with your gear, the more photographs you make, the more confident you become. And so see like a child, right? I find that the more childlike I become, the more curious I become, the less fearful I am, where I see everything as a potential photograph to make, and I'm simply wandering the streets with wonder, looking up at the trees, looking down at the ground, looking at the people, the fleeting moments, and everything around me from this childlike perspective fuels my everyday life with curiosity, eliminating fear, and making me go out there each day with confidence. And so another practical suggestion is to walk alone. Walk with no distractions. Leave your phone at home. It's just you in the street, where ultimately solitude will breed confidence, where you can go out there alone and practice the way that you engage with the world and see exactly how you engage with the street. When you're alone and you're left to your own devices and walking with your camera, you'll find your own rhythm and your own beat and your own unique way in which you play this game. And so walk alone. This will build your confidence. And here's another example of me interacting at the scene with playfulness. And so watch this video for another real-world example of how I interact at the street.
Shukran. It's beautiful, and the green, the color, nice, yes. What time do you eat? Ramadan? Not now? Okay, after 12, wow. I'm from America. Yes. Trump? Maniac. Yeah. Yeah, he's a little crazy, a little crazy. A little crazy. Yeah, yeah. In America, I live in Philadelphia. Yes. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Miami's beautiful. Forza Saída.
So just imagine I'm walking into this refugee camp in East Jerusalem in Shafat. I'm putting my bag through an x-ray machine. I'm entering a new location, being looked up and down from a security guard from the Israeli Defense Force as I'm putting my camera bag through. I'm sharing my passport, and I'm alone. You know, I'm walking in here alone. But I'm walking in this place alone with childlike curiosity and confidence. I'm walking in this place alone, going through the barbed wire fence, looking up at the tall looming wall, thinking to myself, wow, what is this? Why is there this big wall here? You know, I'm going forward and setting my body in motion without preconceived notions. I'm simply going out there with this childlike sense of curiosity, not this serious documentary photographer who's going in there to tell visual stories. But I'm simply curious with childlike wonder, and I'm going forward with confidence alone. You know, I'm entering this place that is seemingly dangerous by myself, but through engaging with the world with playfulness, through engaging with the world with my charisma and letting my guard down and having the positive attitude and sharing this sort of quick interaction with these people here at the scene, I was able to come home with this amazing photograph of this Palestinian man with the watermelon. And so, once again, I believe a photograph is a reflection of your courage, of your heart. And so by going out there and cultivating confidence and courage, you will improve your photography. And this is step one to practicing street photography. And that's why I believe this video is so important. And that's why I wanted to share with you some real world practical tips, advice, and behind the scenes videos and photographs of how I've practically used confidence as a way for me to increase my ability to make photographs with more impact. And so once again, use an Instax camera, ask for permission, walk alone, embrace childlike curiosity, and just keep going, keep photographing, keep growing, because ultimately photography is endless and there's just so much to do, to see, to explore, and to photograph in this world of ours. And so I encourage you to go out there each day and treat the world like a playground, treat the world like it's yours, like you're out there and you're simply following your own whims. You know, I think it's not so serious. You know, just if you feel like going left, go left. If you feel like going right, go right. Climb up the mountain, go into the woods. Photograph with this openness, you know, by going out there and not taking yourself so seriously and being playful. I mean, you'll be surprised, you know, because I just find, you know, from my personal experience, the less serious I am, the better my photographs get. But this comes through confidence, you know. This comes through charisma. This comes through the way in which you engage with humanity, because ultimately I believe that's what will reflect back in the photographs. It's how you interact with the world. And that's why I try to emphasize this notion of the world as a playground, because if you're out there and you're playful like a kid, I think this does increase your confidence. And so, yeah, just some thoughts about confidence in street photography. I really hope some of these ideas and some of these behind the scenes videos and photos have inspired you or given you some ideas for how you can apply this practical, tried and true advice to your photography. And so with that being said, thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.